roll next. Sal Ruggerio from Neighborhood Enhancement is with us today. He's going to be answering the questions. So if you have any questions, please give us a call. You can call us at the station's numbers, which are 990-9352 or in Pinellas 461-9352. Neighborhood Enhancement, formerly Code Enforcement.
And Clean City. Formerly Code Enforcement and Clean City.
So, obviously a great name change, because Code Enforcement sounds like, you're going to come put the smackdown on somebody, and Neighborhood Enhancement sounds like what it truthfully is, which is that you're going around and looking at what's going on with some of these foreclosures, and you're improving the neighborhoods by watching out for what you're doing.
That's correct. We're kind of focused in on the more blighted neighborhoods right now. Sulphur Springs, East Tampa. I have the city divided into 5 sections, and those teams consist of what was Code Enforcement and Clean City combined into one unit.
And the name change to Neighborhood Enhancement, again, obviously it's a more attractive, a better marketable, but I think it conveys the value proposition of what you guys do a little bit better than saying, you're enforcing. It's like the difference between marketing and police in a sense,
Yeah, I think our overall goal is just to gain compliance. If a house has overgrown grass or accumulations on the property, we're asking, that they just clean it up. And if we get a neighborhood to kind of spread that throughout an area, I think it could be contagious, and it makes the overall appearance of the neighborhood better.
Well, and then it helps people's home values. It helps people want to move into that neighborhood. It helps people feel comfortable investing in it. So a lot of times people have always viewed Code Enforcement from a negative standpoint, but realistically, it's meant to help. Help everything. What are some of, so as you guys have changed to Neighborhood Enhancement, for example, and you've combined these divisions, what are some of the big initiatives that you guys have, in kind of combining that now, now that it's happened? What are some big focuses, that you guys have?
Yeah, basically, illegal dumping on the streets in some of the East Tampa locations, that's a huge problem for us. Alley cleanup, trying to get some more access into these alleys, and there's a reduction of crime aspect with that also. If I've talked to neighbors that, they complained that, hey, somebody broke into a house, they stored the items in an overgrown alley, came back later and picked the things up. So I think those are a couple of the 2 main focuses that have a benefit to the community if we work on them.
What about foreclosures? Do you guys, obviously you guys probably get a ton of calls for, this house is in foreclosure. We get those calls too. They see our sign in the yard when we're selling a short sale or foreclosure, and they call us thinking that we can't go out and mow the yard. That's not really what real estate agents do, but they call us complaining too. So have you seen less foreclosures? Do you feel like there's less of that going on and less of the issues with that, or is it still a prevalent issue?
I think the numbers show that there's about 6,000 foreclosures in the city of Tampa. Our role in that is, once a property becomes under foreclosure, they have to register it with our Business Tax Bureau, and then that prompts them to send us a notification that the property is foreclosed. And what that does is once they pay that fee, the bank pays the fee for foreclosure registry, that prompts our Neighborhood Enhancement team to inspect that property twice a year.
Okay, which keeps you obviously preventing it, your goal being preventing vagrants, preventing all those kinds of things. So terrific. And Joellen, it's kind of interesting having him on the show today, because one of the things you guys do at Hillsborough Title that not a lot of other companies do is really focus on some of the code enforcement lien type scenarios. And I know recently you guys even started, and this is more like about a year ago, you started checking for permits. And while these not permits, sometimes they can, code issues and permit violations can kind of run, together. That's something you guys as a title company do that not a lot of title companies do.
That's correct. We started about a year or 2 ago noticing the need to check for code enforcement issues along with unrecorded liens, which can occur from unpermitted additions, things like that. And the reason for that is because it does have an effect on the title of the property. When the code enforcement department goes out and assesses a fine to a property for not having mowed the grass, that is an unrecorded lien. It sometimes takes their department a little while to get that fine on public records. And because of that lag time, we do a search, basically contacting those departments directly to see if there's anything outstanding on a property. That way the new owner doesn't have to worry about something.
Because what happens if you didn't do that, if there are title companies out there that don't do that, is then the new owner, a few months into their ownership, they get this bill and they're like, what in the world is this? You know, and we've gotten those calls before, you know, when closings have happened at other title companies.
That's correct. It does, the lien follows the property and the new owner. It doesn't necessarily fall back on the prior owner. So it's important to have that checked when you are buying a new property.
So you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show here on 970 WFLA. You can call us with questions, 990-9352 in Hillsborough and 461-9352 in Pinellas. Toll free, 1-800-969-9352.